So I'm recording this at night with the window open because the weather is so beautiful. So I'm just going to warn you ahead of time. If you listen really carefully, you're going to hear crickets and frogs. Khon Kaen, both the city and the province, has quite a few really nice travel destinations and tourist spots to add to your photo album and hopefully for you to make some happy memories with. This vlog details a recent trip taken to the Ubol Ratana Dam and the man-made lake that it created. In addition, my family and I visited the absolutely must-see Hin Chang Si Viewpoint, which rests on top of a small mountain looking down upon the lake. I can't stress this enough. If you're going to visit the lake, the Hin Chang Si Viewpoint is a mandatory destination. It will add about 40 minutes to your day just in the commute because you must ascend and then descend the mountain before making your way to the dam, but it is well worth the effort and the additional time that it takes. Which, quite honestly, being an hour away from downtown Khon Kaen is no time at all. I mean, it's about the same time and actually a little bit less than it takes to get to one of the famous floating markets surrounding Bangkok. That is, if you're going from the Sukhumvit or the Siloam areas. The Ubol Ratana Dam and the mountain viewpoint are located just 50 kilometers northwest of the city of Khon Kaen, and it's well within the Khon Kaen province. There are plenty of scenic places to stop and take photos with, or have a cup of coffee on your journey. Our day started with us making our way past the Ban Phang area on the west side of Khon Kaen and making our way north. If you're coming from Udon Thani, there is a more direct route to take, but from Khon Kaen, this is the quickest and least harrowing way of getting there, and quite honestly, the most scenic. In fact, it's a relatively pleasant and scenic ride all the way through, really. You're going through these really nice areas, these nice villages, quaint towns, pretty farmland, that kind of thing. The Hin Chang Si Viewpoint is located in the mountainous Nam Phong National Park, and though I wouldn't say it's tall enough to give you vertigo or anything like that, all of us in the car did notice that our ears were popping during the ascension and the subsequent drive down. To get there, we took Maliwan Road or Highway 12, 30 to 35 minutes west of Khon Kaen, then made a U-turn in a town of Nang Bua, which is itself just part of the Ban Phang district, and then we turned north on Highway 4064. We then basically took 4064 through a couple of small towns and often quaint little villages and scenic farmland properties and things like that before arriving at the foot of the mountain and then to the park itself. From the highway, I would be surprised if it took more than, say, 20 minutes. That is, to get to the park. At the entrance of the park, you will then be stopped and required to pay a fee, and you're going to be given a ticket to keep that ticket. Unfortunately, it is double priced, meaning that if you're a non-Thai citizen, the price will be different than if you're a Thai citizen. 3 guesses into which direction that's going to go. The cost was quite low, though, somewhere south of 100 baht if I can recall. Don't quote me on that. They will require you to present identification. From the gate, it's an extra 15 to 20 minutes up the hill through a winding forested area. Be careful. My sister and I joked about how we hadn't seen a car in like forever when a large truck came zipping around the curve headed down the hill as we were ascending. So drive carefully. Halfway to the Hin Chang Si Viewpoint is another lower viewpoint that faces away from the lake and towards the east. This in and of itself is well worth the stop. It doesn't have the majesty of looking down on the water or anything, but it is still really beautiful. The Nam Phong National Park is 197 kilometers or 76 square miles in size, so it is large enough to give you that go away for a day feeling free of nearby sounds like the city or traffic or even airplanes. In other words, it's a getaway. Alright, I'm going to have to apologize, but you might hear dogs barking outside because the dogs are not getting along. I don't know what they're doing, but they are attacking each other. And they're all part of the same family. Anyways, God, those dogs. I'm sorry if you guys hear those dogs. The viewpoint did not disappoint. The area below is lush and green. The lake sufficiently large enough to say, like, wow, I don't believe. And there's a nice coffee shop at the viewpoint where you can just sit and sip some joe and enjoy the view. The toilets there are also clean and well managed and free of unfortunate smells. I'm not kidding. The men's toilet smelled like lemongrass to me, and I'm not complaining about that. If I can say anything negative, and this is not really a negative about the experience, I would say that if you are going with an elderly person or someone who is physically challenged, the ascending of the stairs and descending the stairs and the rocky pathways can be quite difficult. There is a way to get to the Viewpoint Cafe, and this gives you an awesome view of the lake below without too much trepidation, but I would advise caution either way. The views are definitely worth it if you can make the effort. I could have sat and watched the lake below for a couple of hours had I gone alone, honestly, but I wasn't alone and I had other places to see that day anyway. The breeze at the top of the mountain is nice, and the day we went, it was very comfortable. Dare I say it, lovely. After a nice cup of coffee and some rest and conversation, we descended the mountain and made our way to the dam. For this, we chose Highway 2063, which runs along the east side of the lake all the way to the dam itself. There are several places to stop and take in the sights, as well as some restaurants and cafe stops along the way. You'll re-enter Nam Phong National Park area along this path, though there is no guard station or stop that you have to pay to get into it. I do recommend that you make a stop at the information center at the campground area just off the road. There's another cafe there that's nice and has good views, along with well-maintained toilets. The lake itself is quite large. It is 12,104 square kilometers in size and has a floating solar array that generates 57 gigawatts of electricity per year and contains 47,000 panels. Believe it or not, in 2016, the reservoir basically went dry due to an extended drought. It was the first of several that did. This caused irrigation and electrical production to completely halt. The construction of the dam also required the relocation of 30,000 residents, somewhere north of there actually, and came with several of the expected environmental consequences to accommodate something at this scale. It is the first of several royal dams that opened in the 1960s, 1970s, and the 80s. Getting into the actual grounds requires you to go through a pretty substantial security check. They kept my sister's passport, or was it her ID card? I can't remember. And they gave it back when we exited the place, but it did seem like really strict security.
I want full cavity searches. Everyone, go deep on them.
What in the hell?
Of course, this being an important reservoir for Khon Kaen, I can totally understand the heightened security. What I wasn't expecting was just how beautiful the surrounding area would be. The dam is surrounded by a lush park with golf courses, jogging trails, and various outdoor sporting facilities, all immaculately maintained. We opted to go to the lookout overlooking the dam, where my mother made prayers as well as well-wishing at the altar.
She's not a Christian!
The dam impounds the Pong River, which, like the Nam Chi River, runs into the Mun River, which eventually runs into the Mekong River. As a matter of fact, the dam was named after the Pong River for its first 2 years before being renamed in 1966. We decided not to go to the dam itself because we could see it from the lookout point, and being with an elderly person, we kind of had her march up the mountain and down a mountain and through here and through there and whatever on our little adventures. This could be quite taxing on a person, even a person of younger age. So instead of going to Khao National Park Glasswalk, or what they call the Skywalk, we chose to look for a bite to eat and head home instead. It was a day well spent. A note on the Skywalk: it is becoming increasingly popular on YouTube to display the Skywalk, and to some extent I understand why. It is located in Khao National Park, which is beautiful, and you must drive a kilometer past the park or the Skywalk to park your car. Then you jump on a songtao that shuttles you to the Skywalk itself. Even though you pass the Skywalk on the way to the parking spot, we were just too tired to go through this. Plus, to be totally honest, it's really hard to top the Hin Chang Si Viewpoint area, and the Glasswalk just feels a tiny bit gimmicky in comparison. The views are great, don't get me wrong, but they don't compete with a view from the Hin Chang Si Viewpoint, which is just higher and gives you a more expansive view of the lake. Perhaps at a near future time, I will go to Khao National Park and do a video specific to the sites that surround that park, especially since that park is basically just north of the Nam Phong National Park. They're connected to each other through a town. We ate at the Khunnai Banna Homestay and Resturant, and the food was really delicious. The grounds for the restaurant take on a theme of a seaside village, sort of, with plenty of places to sit and enjoy the setting. A perfect way to end our day. So, if you're in the Khon Kaen area and wish to see the sights, the Nam Phong National Park and Hin Chang Si Viewpoint are must-see locations in my opinion. By the way, there are numerous temples that we didn't get a chance to mention in this video that you could stop and visit along the way as well. There's all sorts of stuff in that specific area of the Khon Kaen province that I do recommend. And again, being just an hour outside of town, it's well worth the visit. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Once again, I love you. I deeply, deeply appreciate you watching this video, and I wish you all the best in life. See you next time.